Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV and welcome to episode 2 of the player debate. Now, if you haven't seen episode 1, go over and watch it on the channel. There will be links in the description below and it's episode 1 is all about the players we currently have on loan, where they are, how much we paid for them and their current stats so far for this season. Episode 2 today is all about who we think might leave in the summer, be sold in the summer, leave in the summer. So what we've done is, rather than just my opinion to talk about several players, is we've invited Martin to give his opinion, and we've also got Tom Hudson, who's another contributor on the channel. So first up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the players potentially who could leave in the summer. I'm not saying they will, but the ones who I think there are question marks around, and one at this moment in time who we definitely know is leaving, let's hope he doesn't, is this guy, and that is David Silva. Now, clearly this was David Silva's last season at Manchester City, where his next destination was. There's been rumours of Miami, there's rumours of New York, there's rumours of him retiring from football altogether. But what a shame, with everything that's happened, the chances are we're not going to get to see David Silva finish his career at Manchester City if the games do go ahead as planned in the next few months, and they're going to be played behind closed doors. Now, that will be an absolute travesty if we don't get to see this absolute legend of the club. For me, my favourite all-time Manchester City player. But what will happen? He'll have 3, 4, 5, 6 months rest. Will City say, come on, David, one more year, and then let's give you the send-off you deserve? That's what I'm hoping for, because I don't think somebody who has not only been legendary in Manchester City's history, but legendary in the Premier League era. You only have to listen to any pundit, any ex-footballer, when they talk about David Silva, it's glowing in glowing terms, and the absolute respect that any footballer has for this man's genius on the football pitch. He can't go out like this, in my opinion. So I'm hopeful. That if the games do get played behind closed doors, one, we'll either obviously have a massive big testimonial for him, but I'm hopeful that maybe with a load of rest, because let's face it, I don't think any games are going to be resumed in the very, very near future. I'm hoping that Manchester City actually persuade him to have one more season and maybe be that his final swan song, where he's mainly a substitute and comes on. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe that's just a pipe dream. But that's David Silva, and we'll see what happens with him. Next up, I'm going to look at is this guy, and there are lots of question marks over John Stones, and he's not signed a contract. He's not been offered a contract by all accounts. He's been very in and out of form. He's had quite a number of injuries. For me personally, I like John Stones. I'm not a John Stones hater, unlike some. However, there's definitely got to be question marks with a year left on his contract. Will he be here next season, whenever that resumes? I don't know. I'm not going to say he's going to leave. I'm also not going to say he's going to be here also. So that's John Stones. My next one is question marks also over our keeper. Somebody who I've absolutely stuck up for the last 2-3 years, and that is Claudio Bravo. Now, there has been some rumours floating around that potentially he could be off in the summer, and we'll then do some other videos coming out talking about goalkeepers and who potentially could replace the likes of maybe Scott Carson or Claudio Bravo if he does leave Manchester City or is sold or moved on. So Claudio Bravo, we'll wait and see on that one, but I don't know. Can I see him here after the summer or after whenever it's resumed, or next season or whatever? I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm really not sure on Claudio Bravo. Next up, I'm going to look at this guy who's another one I've supported, and that is Nicholas Otamendi, the general. Will he be here? Will City buy again another centre-back or two? will that force Otamendi out? We know that he nearly left last summer. It was the only thing that basically after Vinny Kompany announced he was leaving Manchester City, the rumours were allegedly Otamendi was going. However, he didn't go, and that was put a kibosh on us buying another centre-back. I think that was the whole thing surrounding the Harry Maguire deal. They wanted Otamendi gone so they could bring Maguire in. Otamendi decided he wanted to stay, and Maguire didn't come, and Otamendi's remained this season. So what's going to happen with the general? I don't know. I like him. I'm sorry. I know he makes the odd rick every now and then, but for me, he's a solid 7 out of 10 most games. Everyone's got their opinion on players, but for me, it's another 50-50. I can't say one way or the other whether he'll be at Manchester City in the summer. So that's Nicholas Otamendi. The next one I'm going to talk about might be a little bit controversial, but that's only because of alleged comments and rumours that are coming out. That is Joao Cancelo. Now, you know my thoughts on Man City Fan TV about Joao Cancelo. I did a full video with him in the summer last year before we bought him. So, independent Italian football analysts who said he's good going forward, but he can't defend. And I think what we've seen so far is a player trying to, one, get used to City's system, two, get used to the Premier League's pace, and it's completely different to the Italian league. And three, a player that is a little bit unsure of, is he a defender, is he a forward, can he play both roles, can he go forward and commit but then get back when needed like Kyle Walker can? I'm not sure Cancelo can do that, I'll be really honest with you. Hence why I thought the purchase of him when we got rid of Danilo, I thought it was just a really, really bizarre, and I thought it was a really poor decision. I thought it was money wasted when we could have got a proper right back in there. The overall fee was around about £60 million, and obviously we got 20, was it 20? Between 22, depending on the figures, we got between 22 and 25 million back for Danilo, but he still would have cost then City another additional 37 million pounds on top of the Danilo transfer. So for me, it's a poor buy, but there's been rumours lately that he has been talking to the media in Portugal and places like that, where it's saying he's not too happy. Whether that be he's not happy with Manchester because some players and their families don't actually like moving to another country. Whether it's his game time, who knows? Whether it's his form, whether he's just not settled in life at Manchester City and life in the Premier League and life in Manchester, who knows? But for me, I think there's massive question marks about whether Joao Cancelo will be at Manchester City next season. If I had to put a percentage on it, I would possibly say 70% he's gone in the summer, 30% he stays. But that's my opinion on Joao Cancelo. Moving on to the next one, which obviously there's been rumours of the last 24 hours. I don't believe them. I'll be honest with you. Calcio Mercato has come out with this, and it's been picked up. It was picked up yesterday by the Express, and that is Riyad Mahrez. Riyad Mahrez potentially wanting to go to PSG. I can see the link because obviously French speaking, raised in France, born in France. I can see the link in there. Will he be disappointed with the amount of game times? I think he's played enough this season. Has he been good enough? I think he's had really, really good games. I think he's contributed really well to Manchester City this season, but there have been far too many games where he's just been a 5 out of 10. And I think, yes, we've got Raheem Sterling, who, let's face it, has been a 4 or 5 out of 10 for the last couple of months, but he's young, and I think definitely there is more to come out of Raheem Sterling than there is out of Riyad Mahrez, if I'm honest. He don't seem to like playing in that wide role on the right-hand side. He clearly wants to be playing inside, but when you've got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne in that number 10 role, Mahrez is not going to get in there. He's going to be a secondary player in that 10 role, one whereby it might be a cup competition. It might be as a sub for Kevin De Bruyne. I don't think he's going to batten down that place, or that sort of attacking midfield role that I think he would really thrive in. I did that analysis video on him earlier in the year on him, and it was basically all about how he runs from deep. He likes to pick up the ball from deep. He's just not going to be given license to play in that position next season. So the rumours, are they true? Who knows? It could be just gossip mongering. Let's face it, we're going to hear lots of speculation over the coming week or 2 or 3 whilst there's no football, because as the journalists have admitted themselves, it's all about clicks, and what they will do is revert to type and go back to their tried and trusted method of getting clicks, and that is transfer gossip. So I think this is a transfer gossip. I think Riyad Mahrez will be staying at Manchester City next season. So that's Riyad Mahrez. That leads me on to the last one who I personally want to discuss, and that is Leroy Sane. Now, I know Leroy Sane is currently splitting opinions from Man City fan base, whether he should go, whether we should sell him, what's going on, his attitude, is this, that and the other. On his day, I think Leroy Sane is absolute world class. I don't think we've got another player in our team that is like him. I'll be honest with you. So for me, I think City should be doing everything to keep him. Now, whether Sane wants to go or whether he wants to stay, that's another thing. It's interesting that Bayern have certainly cooled their interest in him. And what's going to happen with the contract with a year to go? Because let's face it, if there's no football for, let's say, 6 months' time, that takes us into September, which takes him into his final year of his contract. Or will the authorities like the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA, etc., put some caveat into players' contracts, because normally it runs to the 30th of June? Will they actually look at it and say, when the end of the season, this season is finished, that's for the players, this particular season is how long they've got? I don't know, because I'm sure there's going to be contractual law that comes into that. But if we don't finish the season fairly soon and it gets cancelled, or we have to play it behind closed doors in June, July, August, then that means by the time it resumes for the 2020-21 season, Sane will already entered his final year of his contract. So it's going to be a really interesting time for Leroy Sane. For me, I think Sane, his skills, is all right. People might say his attitude, but his goals, his assists, his energy, his running at players, I think we've missed him massively this season. I think he's been up there with Aymeric Laporte's miss with his injury. I think it's been a huge miss, and no doubt when you've got the likes of Raheem Sterling, that's not hitting his peak for 2-3 months. Sane is the perfect replacement to come in, but we haven't had him. So who knows? Will he go? Will he stay? For me, Sane is a definite 50-50. I can't go either way and commit. Will he stay? Will he not? I want him to stay. That's my opinion. I hope City can persuade him with everything that's going on at the moment to stay at Manchester City and sign an extended contract, because on his day, there is no better left winger in the world than Leroy Sane, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be a 50-50 balance whether he goes, whether he stays, but it's going to be interesting times. But they're my thoughts on the players, though. I think the main players, I mean, forget sort of the kids and things like that, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of them that will be going out on loan. But I'm talking about the main protagonists at Manchester City for this summer. So next up, what we're going to do is going to hand over to Tom. And Tom, who you've seen on the channel and is a contributor to the podcast as well. I asked Tom what were his thoughts on who he thinks potentially should leave or will leave or be sold in the summer, or when the next available window is to leave or sell, depending on what happens with the Premier League and when it resumes next. So I'm going to hand you over to Tom.
Hi guys, it's Tom here. Well, there's a few that could leave this season, a few that want to, and a few that will be sold no matter what. I think Sane is the must. I think he definitely needs to go. He doesn't want to be at the club, and it's just going to make the changing rooms, let's just say, downhearted because of him. Cancelo will go. He hasn't fitted in at all whatsoever, so he's definitely going to be going. I think Zinchenko will be sold. Not that I think that he's a trouble causer. I think he's done quite a lot for us this season and in seasons that's gone by. But I just don't think he's going to fit in. You look, he's not a good left back, and we've got so many good midfield in the midfield. David Silva's going to leave, sadly, because of all this coronavirus stuff. I don't think we'll have the true send-off that we wanted to give him after his 10 years or even more than 10 years of commitment to our club. But it was sad to see him go, but he'll leave. I think Mahrez will get sold. I think PSG look like they want to take him, so I think that he'll be sold in the summer as well. If we look in the midfield, there's not really anybody. If anybody, it'll be Gundogan. Gundogan will get sold, if anything. But he's Pep's lover boy, so I don't think he will in the end. But there's not really anybody in midfield. I think Sterling's one of those where he says he wants to stay at the club, but I think he might leave in the next year or two. And also my favourite player of all time, John Stones. I think he'll be leaving in the summer. He's just not fitted in whatsoever. His injuries have cost us quite a lot of games, and we need to get some more centre backs in who are reliable for the club and don't waste money. So that's who I think will be gone by the club's admission, or gone because they don't want to be at the club anymore at the end of the season. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate that, buddy, for doing that. And it was a quick change because I was just going to give you my thoughts. But then I thought, you know what, rather than you just listening to what my opinions are, let's bring in some others, and managed to get Tom to do his. And next up, we've got our usual presenter on the channel, and that is Martin. And Martin is going to give you his thoughts on who he thinks potentially could leave or be sold in the summer. So over to you, Martin.
Hi guys, Martin here, as you all know. Just want to come at you with my opinion really on who I think is going to leave in the summertime at our club. It's an interesting question that Andy's posed really. And really, you know, I can only give you my viewpoint. I can't give you anything that's, you know, I'm not influenced by anybody else. I'm not going to go off, you know, what some of the boo boys say about players. These are just solely my opinions only. And the first one I'm going to look at, who I think is going to leave, is going to be John Stones. And people think I'm being really harsh here. And the way I view it is, John Stones has been with us now for over 4 years. And we spent a lot of money on him. I think it was nearly just under £50 million. And I know a price tag shouldn't really be connected to a player in a way, but I just think John Stones hasn't improved under Pep Guardiola in 4 years. And the thing is he blows hot and cold. Some games he'll have a great game. He'll have 3 or 4 great games. Then he'll have 3 or 4 bad games. And the Pep Guardiola side, that isn't acceptable for me. And unfortunately, I think he's going down the pecking order. So I do really think, and another thing which are really big, which you've got to look at, City are very early and very proactive in offering new contracts to players who they want to stay. John Stones is entering his last year of his contract, and he hasn't been offered a new one yet, apparently. I've not even sat down with him, which is very un-City-like. So that tells me all the signals, unfortunately, are bye-bye John Stones. The next one I'm going to look at is... unfortunately, we do know David Silva's leaving, which is sad, you know, and I really pray we get to say goodbye to the little magician, El Maggio. But the next one I'm going to look at, I'm going to move on to, is Leroy Sane. I do think Leroy Sane is going to leave. I don't think his head's in the game. I think, you know, Pep's contradicted himself 2 or 3 times, really, in press conferences. One week he's weeks away and weeks away. The next week he's absolutely fine and he's been fit for a while. Which tells me it's not his ability, it's his attitude. His head's not in the game. He doesn't want to be in Manchester. Numerous reports from numerous people now. Usually you say the rumours, but there's no smoke without fire. And when 4, 5, 6 people are all saying the same thing, obviously people are in the know. And I think Pep's put his foot down now and said, if you don't want to be here, son, you know, you're not going to play for me. And unfortunately, I think one of the world's best players has got one of the world's worst attitudes, and unfortunately it's going to cost him his career at Manchester City. Unfortunately, it'll be a sad day, but we need everyone pushing in the right direction, and Leroy Sane is certainly rowing backwards where everyone else is trying to row forwards. So there's my next one. Riyad Mahrez is an interesting one, as I don't think Riyad Mahrez gets some of the praise that he deserves. Sometimes I think he gets far too much negativity from City fans, and I don't think it's because of Riyad Mahrez. I think it's because of some of the fans who we all know what we mean, because some of the fans are so pro Mahrez, even when he has a bad game. I think it's knocked some City fans off him, and it's unfortunate. I have always give someone a year. I always give them a 1 year to settle in, but I think Mahrez, I'm 50-50 on Mahrez. I want him to stay because I think if we lose him, it'd be a big loss to the team. So I want him to stay. The next one's obviously Claudio Bravo, unfortunately in the last year of his contract. Great servant for the club. He had a bad first season, but people need to look at that defence that was in front of him. Gail Clichy, collar off, wasn't good enough. We know that. It was an ageing squad. So, yeah, unfortunately, but people need to remember what Bravo's done and how many League Cups and Community Shields, and even in the league sometimes where he's helped us. You know, man of the match against Liverpool in the Community Shield. Amazing. You know, very much underrated goalkeeper, and people will realise how good he is when he's no longer with us. The next one I'm going to look at, because I do think there's going to be 1 or 2 departures, and I'm going to be really big here, and people are going to be shocked at this one. I think Sergio will be gone this season. Not that I want him to leave. I just think Sergio Aguero will, especially with City saying they're going to let him choose his destiny, I think Sergio Aguero will leave, unfortunately, and that will break my heart in two. But it's just all opinions, and not because I think City will leave, but I just think he's starting to lose a yard of pace. I don't want him to go down the David Silva route and have a poor last season like he's having. David Silva's not having the season that Vincent Kompany had. The legs are gone. The brain's there, the legs are not willing anymore, and it's the same with Aguero. As much as he's banging in the goals, you know, he's starting to have a look to be a fox in the box because he hasn't got the pace anymore to come run away from a defender and leave him. You know, he's not the Aguero he was 2 years ago, but for me, best striker ever in the Premier League. Go down in history, deserves the statue. What more can I say? They're just an handful of people that I think will leave. Obviously, there'll be fringe players as well. But they're just from my mind. I also think Otamendi will leave as well. I think there'll be 2 new centre-backs next summer to go alongside Garcia, to go alongside Taylor Howard-Bellis, to bring them up, alongside Laporte as well. So I think we'll have 5 defenders next year, which won't include Otamendi, because I think he'll want first-team football. But I'm going to hand you back over to Andy now. They're just some of my thoughts on next season and who I think is going to leave. There's probably going to be a few more, probably. There'll be maybe some shocks. We don't know what's going to happen, but a squad revamp, definitely needed. I'll see you guys later. Martin here at Man City Man TV, and as always, up the Blues. See you later.
Okay, thanks, Martin. I really appreciate that for doing it. Some interesting points there from Tom and from Martin. You've heard mine and who I think potentially there could be talks surrounding players leaving, players maybe going, maybe being sold. I don't know. It's going to be very, very difficult because it's not going to be a standard summer. We know that now with games being called off at this moment in time. And then when is it going to resume and how is that going to affect players' contracts and expiry dates on their contracts and all these types of different things. And obviously, for me, my biggest one is what happens to David Silva. But anyway, what are your thoughts? You give us your thoughts on who you think City might sell in the summer or might allow to leave or maybe go into a swap deal with somebody else. Don't forget you can comment below. Put your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget, if you haven't seen episode 1 of the player debate, it's all about the players we currently have on loan, where they came from, how much we paid for them, which clubs they've been on loan at, what's their current stats for this season. So go over and watch that. This is episode 2. All about who may leave in the summer. And don't forget, there is episode 3, which we're going to talk about the goalkeepers, the goalkeeper situation, who City might be looking at across the world to replace the likes of Bravo or Carson in the coming 12 months. We're then going to go and look at the defenders, fullbacks and centre-backs. We'll look at the midfielders and then we'll finish with the strikers. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. If you've enjoyed this video, watch episode 1 and continue to watch the series as they come out on the channel. But take care. We'll see you soon.
Sane!